What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. This video today is revisiting a hot topic of discussion. I did a video last week concerning a certain situation that went down in an LCS with an LCS owner, and I also did this poll right here that you guys see. And I think from out of the almost 600 people that took the poll, this data is extremely alarming. So this is going to be an important video for any of those that care about the future of your local comic book shops, guys. But before we get into the video, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please take some time to do so. Check out all the links in the description below. And before we get into it, I want to take just 60 seconds to thank today's sponsor, PopCultureZone.com, and to talk about their amazing pressing services. Today's video was sponsored by Pop Culture Zone Pressing Services. If you need your comic books pressed, I personally vouch for Pop Culture Zone as being one of the best professional companies in the game, offering hands down the lowest prices out there. Services start at only $9.99, and every order placed will receive free fast track turnaround times. Even though I press comics for my personal collection, whenever I need a professional press for my key comics, I send them up to Pop Culture Zone, and every single book that I've received back, every single one, has had results that have exceeded my expectations, and I am sure that they will exceed your expectations as well. Make sure you go check the link in the description below to head over to their website, popculturezone.com, for complete details on services and how to begin your order. All right, folks, so let's get into the video today. Before we look at the poll, I want to recap, and you guys can go watch that video, pause this one, go watch that one if you want to before we discuss this. You don't need to, but there was a post on a Facebook group discussing that somebody purchased an ASM 300 from an LCS for X amount, came back in sometime later, told the owner that he sold it for X amount more, but then spent the money that they got from the sale back at that store. The LCS owner was upset and said, "This is why I am done letting people take advantage of me, and why I will be, pricing everything at the register, no matter what's on the floor, no matter if it's priced or marked, etc., etc." So I share my thoughts on that, but then I took a poll here, and I'm going to read this poll, and we're going to look at the results, and I'm going to give you my opinion on the results. We're also going to look at a couple of the comments that were left, but we're going to look at one comment in specifically that I think is very imperative and important to know moving forward. All right, so the poll was this. You go into a comic book shop and spend anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour digging in the back issue bins. You pull anywhere from a few books to a couple dozen books. Some have price tags, but some don't. You wait in line, and when it's your turn to set your books down on the counter, the LCS owner or the employee that's working there says, "The prices on these books aren't current. I have to look these up online." What do? Now, you have four options here. One, you let him proceed, you pay, and you thank him with a smile on your face. So basically, this is like, okay, you're good with this. You're going to let him price it up, and it's all good. Only 4% of you chose this one. The next one is you may get annoyed, like, oh my God, really? This is really happening? But you still buy the ones that you think are a good deal. So, hey, that was a good amount of you, 31%. Only 6% said change your mind and only buy new releases and other items, meaning like, yeah, okay, I'll support the LCS, but I'm not going to be buying back issue comics from here anymore. But 59% of you said you're not going to buy the books and you will never give them your business again. Now, before we look at some comments, I'm going to say briefly why this is so alarming is this, because I think many of you watching right now have probably experienced this yourselves, have collector friends that experience this with LCSs, or watch YouTube videos with other collectors experiencing this over the last couple of years. This is becoming more and more prominent. More and more LCSs are either not pricing their books and simply allowing you to bring them up to the register to look them up online, whether it's eBay, whether it's My Comic Shop, whatever online site that they're using, or they are priced, but they're not even, honoring those prices and saying, yeah, I don't know about this. I think this book's a little hot right now. I'm going to look it up on eBay. So this is the new trend, folks. And I talked about in that other video why this is going to be one reason, outside of the fact that we're in evolving world right now. We're in an evolving market in every market. E-commerce is the big thing. Retail is hurting in any industry that you're in. So to have LCSs operating in a sense that is alienating 59% of comic collectors that are going and wanting to spend money at these comic book stores, that's not going to do you any favors, and ultimately it's going to do you in. All right, I'm going to pull up a couple of comments here. Now, there were a few comments that actually talked about, well, I'm going to set expectations a little differently than the 4 examples that I gave. Let's see. Lyric, good friend of the channel, said, I just went into a store like that. Some items are not priced. I don't get annoyed. It's a lot of work. It wasn't a fancy. Oh, well, this wasn't the comment, but later on, Lyric says, basically, if I notice that this is happening, like if there's books that aren't priced, or maybe they are, I'm going to go and talk to the person behind the counter and say, hey, are the books priced or are they not? Or if they are, do you look them up online once I get to the register? And you set those expectations to where you don't have to spend 20 minutes to an hour, because what was the question? You spend, some good amount of time digging in the back issues, right? So there is a way to cut that out. But a lot of people responded even in that scenario to say, yeah, I may be savvy now to go up to a LCS and say, ask them, have that conversation beforehand. But if they tell me the books aren't priced and I'm pricing online, a lot of them are already walking out. They're not even going to look into the back issues. I did that too. There was a shop up in Auburn, California. I went in there, tons of back issues, great back issues too, a lot of silver and bronze stuff. I looked at the books. Some of them weren't priced. Some of them had what seemed to be probably pretty old prices on them. So I asked what I'm assuming to be the owner. I said, hey, are these, I noticed that some books aren't priced and some of them are. Are those the prices on the books? And he was like, nah, none of those prices are accurate. I look everything up on eBay. I said, oh, okay. I grabbed my son. Let's go. I left. I never been back in that store ever again. All right. So again, you could save yourself time by doing that, but it's not changing what the majority of people here are saying. I'm not giving somebody my business if they're doing that. All right. I do want to shed light on something that other people have said in the comments. They said, look, I'm not going to be totally mad about this because I might be able to get a deal. I mean, hey, like they might be able to take the time to look it up and say, you know what? I see this, this is a near mint copy. Maybe they're doing thorough work, because what did I say before? A lot of these people that are doing this, and LCS owners and employees, they're not even looking at sold items. They're looking at listed items. They're not even carrying the book that they're looking at as a near mint, and the book that I'm bringing up to the register is a VG with multiple color breaking defects all throughout the book. But they may say, okay, this is a near mint book. I see the last couple of sold for near mints, $20. How about 15? Well, oh shoot, okay. Well, hey, I'm glad I asked. I'm glad you looked it up. That can happen, all right? But let's get to something that I think is very, very important. We're going to go all the way down to this comment here. And big shout out to Comic Book. I think they're Comic Book Collector 1969 or something like that. I know YouTube's been weird with it, but whatever. Big shout out to this individual. And I'm not putting this individual on any negative blast. I'm just really using this back and forth that we had is a conversation starter. This individual has been a friend of the channel for a very long time. I appreciate their support and appreciate the opinion that they share. So let's just go through it. They say it's his books and his prices. If you don't like it, then leave. Well, and then I say, yeah, and that's what I'm asking. I mean, ultimately, yes, we as consumers have the power to do that. Owners of businesses have the power to run their business however they want and price their books and inventory however they want, for the most part, right? Depending on the industry, because you can't just price gouge food. Anyways, they could price their books how they want. We could say, no, I'm not going to buy anything. But that's my point. And LCS can price their books however they want. But if you're steering away the majority of your customer base, you're not going to be in business long. So I say, yep, that's what I'm asking. So they say, just don't think that we can expect an LCS owner to go through repricing given the frequent market changes. Now, he should not price and put a sign that says final price are established on checkout. Now, he should, I think what he's trying to say here is if he's not pricing, he should put a sign up that says final prices are established at checkout. I'm thinking that that's what they're implying here, but they're definitely saying, I don't expect an LCS owner to go through repricing given the frequent market changes. I want you guys to pay attention to my response because this is the most important thing I want you guys to take away from this video today. It ain't about how the LCS is shooting themselves in the foot. I've already talked about that. It's about this fundamental misconception right here. Let's go into it. This idea that the market changes so much does not really equate to back issue fillers. Outside of big keys, minor keys, some variants, and random few spec books here and there, run fillers don't magically increase or decrease on a week-to-week basis. It doesn't take much time at all for an owner or their employee to do a market check every few weeks on their keys or spec books. If anything, they should be checking them and decreasing prices right now. And I don't see the market changing for the good anytime soon. And they say, you have a right to your opinion. I am okay with asking what the price is and declining if I want it then, and that's fine. I don't think a store owner would worry about low-cost books. But see, and that's where, once again, I disagree. Because the bulk of a lot of these shops' inventory is what? Back issues. You go into a comic book store, and believe me, in Sacramento, we have a lot of comic book shops that deal with, new releases and trades and gamings more than back issue bins. But all the A1 Comics locations, massive back issues. Comic Command Center, solid, massive back issues. World's Best, massive back issues. If you're an LCS and you have space that you're paying rent for that's taking up for back issues, you should absolutely be mindful and care about your inventory, period. So they continue to say, I've been a collector for 50 years, so rarely if I ever go into, hunting to fill runs. So, he's just saying that I'm not very savvy to how this works. And that's totally fine. But, and I'm going to just read my reply right here, and then I'll give you my final thoughts on this. This post was simply to gauge everyone's opinion, for sure, on what they would do in these types of scenarios, right? So thank you for sharing yours. I do appreciate his, and it makes sense that, he's not really a back issue, run filler collector. This isn't really about my opinion, but looking at how the larger community views these tactics. As for run fillers and standard back issue bin books, yes, those are the books that LCSs leave either unpriced or change the price on by looking online or on eBay at the register. Most big keys are behind the counters anyways at most shop. It's becoming a normal thing for a store's entire back issue inventory to be priced at the register. So, I understand how this would or wouldn't affect you personally, but the idea that we shouldn't expect owners to stay on top of pricing or repricing was the comment that I personally disagree with, and my stance on the matter is based on fact. That fact being the fact that value of back issue comics do not move on the market in a way that would force price changes all of the time. If an LCS priced their standard mid-grade bronze or copper age comics at $4 to $5 a piece 3 years ago, there is no reason to have changed them in 3 years. The reality is they probably will be harder to sell at those prices now because of the struggling market. So again, I'm shedding light on the fact that the idea of this being too much work for an LCS is not an argument that can be backed up by quantifiable data of how the market works on the majority of back issue inventory. So again, what am I saying? If I go into a comic book shop and I'm looking through Avengers, say I'm looking at books from 1975 to 1983. And they have, books anywhere from the VG, 4.0 to 6.0 range, and they're priced anywhere from $4 to $5. Say I'm looking at another run from that era. The Ghost Rider run from the 70s, the Fantastic Four run from the 70s. $4 or $5 for a mid-grade run filler. Right now, if you want to talk about, well, I need a price at the register, how about dropping those books to $3 to $4 right now, or even $2 to $3? Because I tell you what, those are more accurate fair market values for those run fillers right now because of the struggling market. The only way that some of those books may have increased is because of speculation. And for Marvel, mostly movie speculation. Or you have minor keys that are still moving on the market to some extent. Maybe even though the market's on a downturn, you could look at inflation, keeping certain books higher than they were if they are minor keys. But again, if you are running a store, there's this argument that they need to go through all of their inventory is asinine in an absolute misconception and fallacy. I don't even have a store, but let me tell you how I do it. If I price my books, I always price my books under fair market value. And what do I use for fair market value? I use eBay sold. I do look at my comic shop, but my comic shop, some of it tends to be deals, some of it tends to be a little high. And for some reason, as of late, their high grade raws, like if they're in the near mint range, they're astronomically ridiculous. And I love shopping on my comic shop, but that's just a fact of the matter. I use my comic shop, Cover Price, because they pull in raw sales from a lot of different places. So I use a lot of different online. I use Mercari sold. And I know, because I'm selling online, that these are online sales. So I should be able to have a competitive fair market value for what they're selling. I still drop them below. On my sticker price, right? If I wait to sell those books and it's been, say, 6 months and I still have books that I priced before, I'm either going to not care about what the market's doing, thinking that they went up, or if I do care and I do look at this book and say, oh, this book might be related to a show that came out over the last 6 months. I may go back, look at the market, and reprice the book before I even put it in an auction. And how am I selling it? I'm not putting it back issue bins for someone to walk into my store. I'm either selling it in a whatnot auction, as a buy it now, or an IG auction, or a listing, etc., etc. But you know what I've been doing? If you guys have watched my Instagram sales, I have a lot of high grade 80s and 90s Spider-Man stuff. Spider-Man always sells. I got some early McFarlane run stuff. And I got books in the near mint minus to near mint plus range that I had priced anywhere from $6 to $8. Because in high grade, over the last couple of years, those books, some of them have been selling for over $10. I still price them below. You know what I've done? I've cut a lot of them in half. Because I understand that the market's struggling right now. And I understand also that I didn't even pay close to fair market value for those books. So even if I sell them for 50% off sticker, I'm still making money and I'm not alienating my customers, and I'm building a loyal fan base because I'm giving them deals. This idea right now specifically is hysterical because run fillers, back issue fodder right now is hurting more than it's hurt over the last 3.5 years since COVID began. But LCSs are still trying to play victim by saying, oh, I don't want to get taken advantage of, or I don't have the time. Stop it. So, it's one thing if you don't have it priced and you bring it up to register and you're still giving them a fair deal. If you guys as customers and as collectors want to support your LCS that do that because they're still being humble, generous, good businessmen, and they're not trying to, just look at the last sold and rip you off, whatever, fine. If they're changing the price on it and it's already priced, that is ethically completely wrong. And I don't expect your LCS to be in business for much longer. And some of these comments did bring up the fact that, yes, when you actually change the sticker price, there are legalities around that. Now, I'm not going to get into that in this video. It's a fine line when you're talking about comic books because these laws that are state-driven and there's federal prosecution that could happen too. First off, I don't know anybody that's going to waste the time and resources and money to take anybody to court because, like me, I found a book in the dollar bin. He was like, nope, I need to get at least $4 for this book. And I walked out and never gave him my business again. I'm not going to take someone to court for that, but I mean, he stickered it as $1 and now he's trying to, swindle me at the register. I'm not going to take him to court for that, but it's a fine line to have a court system sit and say, well, comic books is a commodity or something that we're going to hold to those laws. But still, regardless, it's a fine line that they're walking. It's completely unethical. It's completely wrong. That's a whole other situation. But again, if I ran a store and I had 30 boxes of back issue, 30 long boxes, that's a lot. 30 long boxes, it's got to be at least like what? I don't know. Close to 20,000 books, maybe. I would still, even if I had just myself or even one employee, I would make sure that you could check the market so easily now. I could go on Cover Price once a week and see what books are moving. I can look at comicbook.com and see, what new TV show or video game or movies coming out that might drive a book up. And if I know what character it's in, I'm going to know where to go and look in my back issue bins, find a couple of the keys or the minor keys that might be in the back issue bins. I'm going to pull them and I'm going to take just a few minutes, maybe 30 minutes to an hour to reprice them if I need to. And you can do this once a week, once every other week, twice a month. It doesn't matter. I'm done with the excuses, guys. I want the LCS to succeed. They already have so much against them. But we have to evolve in the right way and not put our nose in the air and be stuck up. Because I'm going to show you guys one more time. The simple fact of the matter is, where is it? Here it is. The simple fact of the matter is LCSs. If you're going to squeeze somebody out of $3 for that WandaVision beat up book that was in your dollar bin, or you sold a ASM 300 to someone for $250 and they went and sold it a few months later for $350, but yet spent the money at your LCS and now you're mad about that and you think people are taking advantage of you. If you're acting like this is what's happening. You're going to lose money. You're not making money. You're trying to squeeze the lemon right now, but you're going to dry up the soil that's keeping that lemon tree bearing fruit. Don't neglect the soil for the one lemon that's on the tree right now. Guys, would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, if you aren't subscribed, please do so. Click the like button if you enjoyed it. Click the thumbs down button if you did it. Thank you all. Be well. And until next time.